think if he slept with 5,000 people, and if three-quarters of those people say, he should have warned me, he should have told me, I've had sleepless nights, I'm getting therapy, I'm sick to my stomach, I don't know, if he infected me or not, and even though I've been tested and I don't have it, I'm still worried that it could be dormant or something along those lines, he could be hit with thousands of lawsuits. And, of course, the words got out that he paid people millions of dollars to be quiet, and others who had sex with him may be thinking, I'd like a piece of that too. I mean, Hollywood is a notoriously litigious community. People are
right.
always suing at the drop of a hat, claiming they were violated in some way. People stealing their ideas, people not paying them what they're owed. I mean, it just seems to me that he may have opened the floodgates now to thousands, literally thousands of lawsuits where people are, seeking six figures and above for the distress.
By going on the Today Show?
Well, I think the moment he announced that he had HIV, so many of these people who had sex with him must have just been horrified, and probably all running to, their doctors to be tested, to be counseled. And a lot of them are going to want compensation in civil court. And of course, I don't know what insurance he has, but unless there's insurance to pay lawyers, the legal costs are going to be astronomical. So if you're talking about thousands of civil lawsuits, if you're talking about lawyers defending each and every suit, if you're talking about, settlements here, there, and everywhere, because I don't think he wants to go to trial on these things, he could literally lose his fortune. And of course, his own health is suffering. His own health is suffering because he's HIV positive, and his whole lifestyle is obviously going to change. A lot of people aren't going to want to deal with him the way they used to for fear of the virus. And I hope he gets the help he needs, because apparently his drug addiction, from everything I've been told, was just spiraling out of control.
Oh yeah.
But to me, it's a human tragedy. The whole thing. There was so much potential for good, and it's turned into a nightmare.
And he's still a young guy. I mean, he's only in his 50s, so it's
very
a real tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember what I said about fame and fortune. Fame and fortune can be a tremendous blessing or a tremendous curse. And, I've said before that fame can kill. The last I heard, the three highest grossing dead celebrities' estates were: number one, Michael Jackson, who was dead at 50; number two, Elvis Presley, who was dead at 42; and number three, Marilyn Monroe, who was dead at 36. All three gifted, talented people. And from everything I've heard, fundamentally nice people, all of them. Of course, I knew Michael. I didn't know Elvis or Marilyn, and Michael was one of the nicest people I ever met. But all dead way before their time, and I believe that fame had a lot to do with it. The pressures of fame, the way you suddenly don't know who to trust, you don't know who's really your friend, everybody wants a piece of you, everybody gets angry if they can't get something from you. And I just think the pitfalls of fame and fortune are very numerous and very serious.
Were you an Elvis Presley fan in terms of his music growing up?
Yes, I think Elvis was wonderful. I loved his songs, and I liked his performances. I felt terrible seeing him at the end of his life, how bloated he was and unhealthy looking he appeared. Of course, what little I've read about him indicates that fame did have a very destructive effect on poor Elvis. That, again, everybody was after him for this and after him for that. And, I saw that with Michael Jackson, and I'm sure the same thing happened with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, tragedy. Marilyn Monroe, Anna Nicole Smith, the list goes on and on.
Sure.
But I want to tell the callers just to hang tight. We will get to you. We're just going to cover a couple more stories here. I do want you to tell my audience about the project you're involved with, When Justice Isn't Just. Well,
this is a documentary that I appear in. It's been produced by Robert Massey, who was nominated for an Oscar earlier in his career, and Dawn Kirk Alexander. They're two African-American filmmakers who approached me and said they wanted to do a film about justice and would I participate. And I said I'd love to. And they came to my free legal clinic, the Mesereau Free Clinic in South Central Los Angeles, where wonderful lawyers and law students and college students and activists donate their time 2 Saturdays a month to help people in need. We have judges speak. We have experts speak on areas of the law. And we do what we can to counsel people and help them through difficult situations. We meet in the African-American community at a church called Morningside Church at Crenshaw in Manchester, to those of you who know South Los Angeles. They came there to film. We had a federal judge, the Honorable Otis Wright, speaking about what was wrong with the drug laws. He gave a wonderful talk about government abuse when it comes to setting people up in sting operations, and that's in the film. They interviewed me in Alabama. They covered one of my capital murder cases that I recently defended in Birmingham, Alabama. They also followed the Women of Watts March, which I do every year and have done the last 12 years. I march with the women of Watts and their children against gang violence. We march through some of the most violent projects in Los Angeles where young people are gunned down on a regular basis, and we march for peace. We march against violence. We're led by children and their mothers, and I've been participating with this group for 12 years. They were nice enough to film some of that. They also interviewed many other people involved in the justice system, and including mothers who lost their sons to gang violence, police officers. They deal with some of the current issues today. You know, the police shootings we're talking about are discussed, and
right.
It's a wonderful film. The first cut was 42 minutes. They then expanded it to 52 minutes, and they're now trying to raise some funds to expand it to an hour and a half. And they're waiting. The last I talked to the producers to see if they're nominated for an award. I know they plan to put it in some of the film festivals. And it's a very wonderful film, and I think it's very timely and very sensitively and professionally done. So I'm very honored to have been part of it. And, you can see the trailer on the Internet. It's called When Justice Isn't Just. Again, the producers are Robert Massey, Massey, and Dawn Kirk Alexander.
Absolutely. And also the free stuff you do, there's not too many lawyers I don't know of any lawyers that I've ever interviewed that actually takes on a case pro bono. Can you explain that to my audience?
Well, early in my career as a criminal defense lawyer and as a civil rights lawyer, I decided that I was going to devote a lot of my career to helping the poor. For many, many years, for decades actually, I was donating my time at various free legal clinics at African-American churches in Los Angeles. First African Methodist Episcopal Church had a clinic which I used to donate my time to. A friend of mine, Dr. Dolores Aline, who was the first African-American woman to graduate from the University of Louisville, Kentucky Medical School. She formed an organization at Crenshaw United Episcopal Church in South Los Angeles called Save Our Sons. It's an organization formed by black mothers whose sons are in prison, and the organization focuses on issues involving black males and the justice system. I've donated my time since the 90s, off and on, to help Dr. Aline when she ever asked me to. I used to lecture on the drug laws and appear at free clinics. There was always a free clinic at West Angeles Church of God in Los Angeles. I say always. It meant 4 times a year. I would donate my time to that. And other organizations. I'm on the advisory board of Inaction Family Network. I was there when the organization was founded by my friend Kay Colson. And it deals with women in recovery. We have a group of people, wonderful people, that go into Los Angeles County Jail and put women who are incarcerated through a program of education so they can reenter society and live productive lives. And we also focus on homeless children. The number and percentage of homeless children in Los Angeles is staggering. you have little kids living in cheap motels, just trying to survive on a day-by-day basis. We have an enormous number of foster children in Los Angeles, the largest of any county in the country, the last I checked. And so this organization is helping with those issues too. And I also, I was always interested in how the death penalty is administered, and of course I oppose it. And I used to read these stories, very critical of the South. And as I do in much of my life, I like to see things myself, so I got the word out about 19 years ago that I would like to try a case pro bono in the South, and I'd be willing to help some poor person who was facing the death penalty. And word spread, and I found out that there was a case in Birmingham, Alabama, where a homeless black man was charged with killing a beautiful white girl in a trendy part of town, and the lawyers reached out to me and asked, 2 white lawyers were appointed to defend the homeless black man, and they were getting threats on their machines that they were nigger lovers and statements like that, and I flew to Birmingham and met them, and we became instant friends, and I've been defending cases, capital murder cases, free in Alabama for the last 18 years. I also did one in Mississippi when a young black man who had been in 5 mental institutions was charged with capital murder and facing the death penalty. A local civil rights organization reached out and asked if I would be willing to help a local lawyer who was appointed to defend the case, and this local lawyer had never defended a felony case, let alone a murder case or a death penalty case. So I agreed to be lead counsel in that case, and then we ended up resolving it, and he got the treatment he needed, et cetera. But I do speak periodically to lawyers groups about the value of giving back to society, about taking, the enormous benefits we have because of our education and our ability to make a decent living and to shape society. I always tell lawyers you should give something back, and you'll feel a lot better about yourselves and what you do in the world. And so pro bono work has been a big part of my professional life.
Yeah, and you were talking about that at the Cleveland Club this past May, I noticed. But how do you go about choosing the client that gets to have you?
Well, I help people in Los Angeles when I can. Of course, my free clinic, the Mesereau Free Legal Clinic, takes anyone who walks in. We'll sit down and at the very least give you someone to talk to, someone with some professional advice. We can't solve every problem. We can't handle every case, but we can at least be there to talk to. And some people come back and back and back, and they really love the opportunity to sit down and vent and get advice. So as far as the capital cases in the South go, I have a friend of mine, a wonderful lawyer, Charlie Salvaggio, a very interesting man, Italian guy who grew up in a black project in Birmingham at a time when the rednecks considered Italians to be the N-word. And he came up real hard. They often didn't have enough food to eat. His father abandoned the family, and his mother was waiting tables trying to support a bunch of children. And he had a lot of different jobs. He was a truck driver. He was a construction worker. He was a roofer. He was a data processor, and he saved money to go to one of the finest liberal arts schools in Birmingham Southern, and then put himself through law school, and we became instant friends. And we've been trying cases now, handling cases for 18 years. And so he and I get together and decide what pro bono capital case I will do each year. And we kick some cases around that he has, and we choose one.
That is amazing, and give you a good feeling to do that for somebody.
Well, it's been a wonderful adventure for me as a lawyer and as a person, and doing this kind of work has given me satisfaction and fulfillment and life experiences that you could never get any other way. And I try to tell lawyers very often, as I did in Cleveland, that ever since I was in law school, when they do polls of lawyer satisfaction or dissatisfaction, roughly 70% say they're not happy with their work. And I always tell them, well, you've got to start helping the community. You've got to recapture some of that idealism that you had in law school, that the rigors of making a living and the the hardships of trying to make it in society, sometimes they just stamp out this idealism that we have